I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna start.
I'm gonna go. Ooh, welcome to round.
I'm not gonna go that.
I think your note needs to get progressively longer.
More as the season goes longer.
You have to hold it out. It's gonna be like a 2-minute long note.
Oh god. I have been working on my lung capacity lately. Welcome to Drafted. I'm your host, Daniel Prentice, and as always, I am joined by my dear friend and co-host, Preston Thompson. Preston, how are you doing tonight, my friend, and what are you drinking, man?
I'm doing fabulous, Dan. And partly because I get to see you in like 4 days.
That's true.
It's going to be a grand old time.
It's really been keeping me going as well.
We're going to go to the beach. We're going to go to the pool. We're going to get some rays. We're going to recreate the volleyball scene from the original Top Gun. It's going to be fabulous. What more could you want?
Not much else, I don't think. Not a thing. And I am drinking a Dr. Robot Blackberry Sour, which is from Monday Night. Monday Night is a great brewery here in Atlanta. It is expired, but the beer is
expired. Told that's not really a huge deal. So,
well, how does it taste?
Tastes great. So,
give us a sip right now to prove it. I have not seen him drink it yet on camera, so no, he's not lying. All right, he's drunk it. He seems fine. He seems fine for now. We'll check back in.
It expired in April too. It's not even really that close.
We'll check back in about 30 minutes, see how Preston's doing. We might have to sub him in.
So it just ferments more, right? It's just a higher alcohol percentage. That's how it works.
It's just more flavor.
Yeah.
First on deck to replace Preston as host of this show, if he were to fall ill, at least for
that's
this
quite
week,
a position. Wow.
I know. Is our guest this week. It's Friggin Nerd Mike from Friggin Nerd Media and the Friggin Nerds Podcast. Mike, how you doing,
what's up, guys? Yo, I love the alternate here. I'm fine with being the backup for Preston. Though I feel like the perfect backup for Preston though has to be Britt. It has to be Britt from our crew. Like she has.
I don't know if
all
she
the
would
same
like
opinions.
that association.
No, I think she does.
Oh, I think she does.
Really?
She is very proud of being a Preston stan over here. So
one of three, and the others are my wife and my mother. So she's in good company.
That's all you need, though. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And look, Dap, we got to take like a bet here, maybe within 20-30 minutes if Preston is going to be off camera barfing from that expired beer.
You guys can finish without me. That's fine.
Yeah. That could be. I mean, I wish we had a live time bonus, like a real time is the word I'm looking for. A real time bonus poll. Will Preston puke
right now
on recording? Also, Mike saying that Britt is a Preston stan really just gave me a good idea for a drafted shirt when we ever make them. It needs to be something like I vote for Preston, I vote for Daniel, I vote for the guest. As
I love that.
Something with that. Either all on one T-shirt, or it's like everyone, like the only option is to pick the guest or something. Something with that. It'll be good.
Yeah, but I will say I am the first freaking nerd host that you guys have brought on that is not doing a draft with you guys tonight.
This is true.
Spoiler alert.
I am honored. Mike. I spoiled it. I don't care. I'm honored. Mario, you take it. I got this. I got it. I'm the first. You're the only thing you can be is second.
This is very true.
I am first on the show without a draft.
We just knew they couldn't handle it. There's just no way they could handle it.
Exactly.
But we knew Mike would be able to take it on, the challenge.
We're never going to live this down with Mario.
No. And I will say this. Look, I listened to the episode Mario was on, and I wanted to he hyped me up so much in his intro. I wanted to run through a brick wall. He did so well with that. So I'm not taking that away from him, but he can never be first on Drafted anymore.
That's true. Well, we'd have to come up with a whole new
just for
the
him.
Show just for him. And I don't see us doing it, if I'm being honest. Sorry, Mario.
Well, Dan, why don't we try taking the week in like nerdy news and you and I just discuss that? I don't think anybody's really
Ooh.
doing that right now, right?
No, that
Certainly
sounds like
not
a totally
live
fresh
on
idea.
Twitch on Tuesdays. Yeah, certainly not live on Twitch.
No, I
No.
think you're good. I think that
I think
sounds
we'd
like a
be the
totally
only
fresh
ones.
idea. You know, you could also do like little game after each section too. You know, do like a
Ooh.
versus between two like fandom characters, things like that.
I like
That'd be
that.
Great.
That would be
Really
good. Mike, do you want to maybe come on to that? Are you free on Tuesday
I'm
nights?
in. I'm all in. Yes, my schedule is completely open.
Wow.
We love to hear
Okay.
that. Mike, are you drinking anything this evening?
I am. Look, I do listen to Drafted, so I know you guys drink
love
drink
that.
some stuff, and so I concocted a little tequila. Or no, I'm doing a what I guess this would be a rum sunrise.
Whoa.
I got some fruit
Heck
juice
yeah.
and some mango rum here. So
Oh, yeah, baby.
Mike is turning
it's
up.
very good. It's
Mike
very
will
good.
be-
Tropical.
Mike will
I
be
will-
at the beach with us in spirit already. It
I-
sounds like.
That's exactly, yeah. I was like, I'm glad that I'm drinking this. This is going to be me with you guys this weekend. But this is a drink I stole from Britt and Lee's old show, Craft and Cocktails, here on our channel. So
Wow.
it's perfect. I love
Listen, if you bring those to the beach, we will find you a place to stay.
it. Perfect.
Just
I
don't
will-
tell Britt you have a business trip or something, and you can just
Yeah.
come hang out with the boys for a little while.
We'll totally classify it as a business trip. I'm down.
Mhm.
Well, business trip to discuss our new venture of nerdy
The new
podcast,
podcast?
news.
Perfect. Listen, I will
Exactly.
stay. I will stay in the den. Mike can have the bed.
Perfect.
Wow,
Man,
that's
this
big.
is
My room.
great.
That's
I'm going to
huge.
come on here all the time. This is amazing. I'm getting star treatment here.
Boy, if Mike comes on vacation with us, Mario
Can you
might
imagine
never
how
talk
much-
to us
no.
again.
No, it would send ripples through the podcast world. It'd be like, oh, deception.
I may actually have Tuesdays off for a while after that.
Yeah, it's true. You can come on.
I'm drinking a mango beverage as well. I mean, it's just a White Claw, but it's a mango White Claw. So I feel like we're all in good.
Yeah.
We're all in lockstep right now.
Yeah.
Which
Expired beer, mango, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's perfect.
Fabulous.
maybe put to the test our in syncness here, because as Mike alluded to, we are not doing a draft tonight. We are instead throwing it back to, if you recall, March of last year, we did a series of brackets where we determined what the best of something was, and we'll be doing that tonight. So Preston, usually I ask you what we are drafting tonight, but instead I ask you, what are we bracketing tonight?
You know, I love our brackets because, like, this is a very, like, let's mess around show. Let's
Yeah.
make fun of people named King and Genesis and Axel Xander and make fun of people who get birthday cake ice cream. It's great. The brackets are like, we're going to pick the best thing. And if you don't agree with us, then you're wrong, because
You
we
go
went
to
through
hell.
the scientific process of deciding what that is. And tonight we are deciding the best video game franchise of all time.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited for this. I love video games. I love talking about them. I love playing them. We haven't done that much video game stuff on the show, although I guess compared to most other people in their lives we have. But still, I'm very excited about this.
This is really hard, by the way. Like, I was super stoked when you guys came to me with the idea for the bracket. I'm like, oh, I'm in. And I started looking at the titles and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good at the beginning. And then I'm like, oh, I'm going to be really sad about some of these things being marked off the list.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
It's gonna
feel
be
bad,
tough.
but there can
It's
only
gonna be
be
tough.
one. There can only be one.
Can only be one. That's right.
And
That's
we
right.
are using the official ranker list of video game franchises. Ranker is kind of like a cool site where basically they just have lists of things that people then vote up or down, and then based on people voting determines like the overall ranking. So we're just going 1 through 16 on the ranker list for best video game franchises. I have to say, I'm a little worried about this. At least for me and Preston, because I think Preston feels very strongly about some of the games that we're going to have on this list, and I'm a little
Yes.
worried that we might get upset at each other.
It's true.
Right before
Which is
go
why
on
we need
vacation as well.
Mike to bring the rum sunrises or whatever the
That's
hell
right.
to the beach to ease
Yeah.
over tensions. You can be
Yeah,
like
I'll-
the Sweden, the Switzerland.
I'm going to show
whatever.
up and be like, hey guys, it's okay. Look, just drink this. We're all good. We're all bros here.
It's all
Let's
going to be
just-
fine.
Yeah, we're going to be good. We're going to be good.
No, I think it'll be okay, Dan, because I can separate like this is a historically significant thing we're doing. I can separate my personal biases out of it because I think I know what you're thinking of, and we'll get there.
I will say this. I was doing a little bit of research while I was straightening up the house today, and I turned on a few different YouTube videos of like the best game franchise ever. And I came across a couple different podcasts, and there are really strong opinions about these franchises. And to the point where these podcasts I was listening to on YouTube have been around for a while, but they were like fighting on
they
the
shut
episode.
down. Yeah.
They were like, you could tell they were not going to be good after they hit that stop recording button. So look, I love you guys, okay? So whatever happens,
let's start
here,
this from a safe space.
Yeah, whatever happens here, it happens, and just know it's just business.
Yeah. With video games, there is like a weird level of toxicity a lot of the times.
Yes.
And it goes into like the communities and just the fandoms, which I do you think they're Mike, you would know. I think your whole realm is just all things nerdy. Are video games like the most intense nerdy thing?
Is it the most intense? That's a good question. I want to say, just from general knowledge of video games, that once you get into like a community, especially competitive, like if you get into like League of Legends Smash, things like that, there are some really toxic things that happen in those communities.
Especially if you're not a like straight white guy.
Yes, 100%.
Like real tough going for women out there.
Real
in
rough.
Particular. Yeah.
Yep.
I have heard that Star Wars is worse.
So
it does make me think what a like hyper popular online competitive Star Wars multiplayer game would be like. Because the Battlefront games didn't quite hit that, but like if something does come out, Star Wars fans that are suddenly video game fans overlap. Ugh.
I was worried about that when they dropped the Star Wars MMO like years ago. I was like, well, there it is. This is World War III about to happen.
This is the end.
So yeah, we will try to do our best to avoid that within the episode and be as pleasant and welcoming as possible. How about we just get right into it then? I think we've set everything up enough. Let's just start right with the 1 versus 16 seed. This one is a very interesting one to me because it includes one game that is quite unlike any of the others. That is number 16 seed Tetris taking on the 1 seed Legend of Zelda.
Guys,
Tetris Effect Connected is actually very, very good, but there is a 0% chance that it wins this matchup. But it's very good. I would recommend anybody go try it. But
yeah, when I was writing out the bracket before the show just to see what would be matched up, I was like, okay, who's Zelda taking on? And then I scrolled and I saw it was Tetris, and I was like, okay, well, that's a very quick decision. Now I will say this with Tetris. This is like an incredibly well-known game for decades. Like everybody knows Tetris. Like parents would know it back in the 80s. They've redone it. They've got flashier, they've got the whatever the new Tetris game is that's out that was free like 2 years ago, whenever that was. But it's Zelda. You can't, it's Zelda.
We've effectively eulogized the loser here. So.
Yeah, I think we'll get a lot of opportunities to discuss Zelda further. So I think it's safe to just move it on with a 3-0 vote. But shout out to Tetris. Like it even if you go down further down the ranker list, Tetris still sticks out like a sore thumb because of how different it is. And I think that speaks very highly up. Like the kind of game it is still being considered that high. I wouldn't put it that high personally. It would not be in my top 16, but still I think speaks very highly of how good it is at being the kind of game it is. But we will move on now to the 2 versus 15 matchup. And I think this one's a little more interesting. We have the 2 seed Super Mario Brothers versus Doom. Really a fun contrast of video game styles here.
Doom is a actually revolutionary trend-setting game. If you go back to the original game, which is still being played and like speed runs and mods and all that stuff. I don't think it has enough of that to make it all the way through. The two new ones, Doom 2016, and whatever the new one is called. I've played
Doom
them
Eternal,
both.
right?
Doom Eternal, thank you. They're both fantastic, fabulous. I would say the best single player shooters, both of them, of the last 5-6 years. Maybe Titanfall 2. I'm inclined to that, but they're up there. But it's I don't know that it holds a candle.
No, revolutionary for an entire genre of game, which is the first-person shooter.
Right.
But you which is great. And they are fun games to play. Just run around, blow shit up. It's a great formula. But yeah, I mean, you can't vote it over Super Mario Brothers, right? Is there any argument for actually voting it over Super Mario Brothers?
Not from this camera.
Yeah.
If you claim it invented the genre, which I think is also kind of suspect, because I think it like made the best version of the genre at the time, but I don't think it was like solely responsible for first person shooters, but it did the best job at it in the moment. And it made people think they could be good.
I think when you think about what was the first person shooter, Doom is probably what pops into everybody's brain. Like, and I remember back in like, I don't know, high school or whenever we're sitting there trying to do like computer tech class, and we would do that for like 10 minutes. And the teacher would then let us roll Doom out on our computers. 100%, bro. I loved it. That's
amazing.
And we would play all in the class. I mean, that was the thing. It was like such a revolutionary game that everybody just got around. And yeah, you remember it as being like the best or, most revolutionary first person shooter. However, it's up against Mario. I mean, that's the thing about this.
It's not going to work. Yeah,
that's the thing about this bracket. It's so hard. There's so many games that I'm like, yeah, but it's up against this game.
Yeah, so, I think like the biggest argument here is, if you even wanted to hash it out, is that when you talk about Doom, you talk about the most two recent games and then go all the way back to the first one. Whereas look at like the iterations of Super Mario Brothers over the years. I mean, every single one that comes out feels like it's, a revolutionary game. Yeah, every single one, dating back multiple consoles since the first one came out on what console did the first one even come out on?
I mean, NES, Super Nintendo. Yeah.
Or
NES, I guess.
Mario, was NES. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a landslide here. Doom, I think, is a worthy opponent, or at least worthy of making the bracket, but easy win for Super Mario Brothers.
Mike's story does bring to mind a memory of, I started going to middle school of like back when they first had server connected computers, and somehow a classmate backloaded in Quake to every computer in the school. So if you were on any computer in the school, if you knew the exact file location of it, you could play it, and you had to go to like 1991 records, and then like A through B, and then like 7C-E, like you had to know the exact file location.
Yeah, you're like hacking in, man. You're hacking in to play Quake.
It felt so cool.
Whatever 100%. Kid did that surely has to work for some sort of like cyber defense.
Yes.
Oh, they work for the army or something.
Yeah, he's living at the beach. He's a beachfront property, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
good for that kid. Okay, so Super Mario Brothers moves on again with a clean sweep vote over Doom. Next up, we have the 3 seed Pokemon versus the 14 seed God of War.
Now this is where it got tough for me, but it's still fairly easy. The first two I was like done. This one's tough. Tougher.
The question here is Preston going to be a prisoner of the moment?
That's a great way to phrase it, actually.
Interesting.
Because the last time we talked about this subject on your Twitch, Dan, or should I say Dap, I said that God of War 2018 was my favorite game of all time. I still think that's true. I will say the reason it's such a good game is because of the character evolution and the recognition of the first couple games not being what they needed to be. So like as a franchise, I think its weaknesses are part of what makes the last game so powerful to me, because it's about people who make things, growing up, having kids, realizing their place in the world. That's what I think makes that story so powerful. The first 3 games are fun beat 'em ups, but story-wise and characterization, they are hot garbage.
Yeah, that's like very different games, right?
Yes.
Like, not even really the same genre.
No. Not even close. And I think that revolution is what makes the game so good. But I also think that's what holds the franchise as a whole from being considered the best. I do have some fairly negative thoughts about Pokemon, but I am going to vote for Pokemon in this.
I will ask this. What are we considering? Like, what makes up the Pokemon franchise? Because there are obviously the mainline games, Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal, etc., and so on, through 8 generations. But like, are we factoring in things like Pokemon Go or Pokemon Snap or Pokemon Stadium or Coliseum and all these other offshoots?
Well, and the same thing goes for Mario. Are you factoring in like the Mario Kart phone game or like some of the weirder iterations of the
for Mario, I think it's easy because there are, and we will get to them in a moment, there are different Mario games within this very bracket.
Right. Yeah.
So like Super Mario Bros. Is specifically Super Mario Bros. So I kind of feel like we should keep the Pokemon games as just the mainline Pokemon games. That seems the most fair to me, especially since I think some of the best Pokemon games are not the Pokemon mainline games.
I would totally agree with that, and I think that's a fine way to consider this.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Regardless of what we choose here, it is still Pokemon for me anyway. So even if it's just mainline. Now, what I found super interesting though is Preston chatting about the God of War game, how it evolved, it changed, it had a certain formula in the first 2 games, and it like made a completely huge leap in a newer variation of a game. What's very interesting is Pokemon does not do that.
Will never, does not appear to ever be on the path to making the kind of changes that would be necessary.
Well, a quick asterisk to that is it seems like they're starting to make that change because
not so fast, my friend.
They did. I know that this wasn't
the
same.
Now.
I know this wasn't the same developer. The Arceus game came out last year or earlier this year, and it was a completely different Pokemon style experience. It had elements, of course, of the mainline game still, but they're taking what they did with Arceus and they're starting to put that into this next the next game that's coming out, Violet and
Scarlet.
What is it? Scarlet, yeah. And so I think that they're starting to understand maybe we should change some things up.
But the problem here is, and again, I think we'll get into this more later, is that the things they did change up in Arceus, however you say it, and the things they changed up in Sword and Shield, which was, I played a little bit of Arceus, Sword and Shield I played all the way through. They don't work particularly well. Like they are changing it up a little bit, but they don't actually, the open world part of Sword and Shield to me is actually like not a success. It does not feel like a video game that is up to the level of 2020, I think is when that game came out. Does not feel like we're there. And for the most profitable IP in the known universe to be putting out games that feel like technically they're not quite up to snuff.
So what's your vote here, Preston?
But my vote here is Pokemon, but like I'm lodging a very big protest. And it's because out of the God of War, I expect Ragnarok to be incredible, the new game that's coming out. But the newest God of War is the only game in that series I would replay. And that's tough for me because I would replay multiple Pokemon games probably.
Mike, what about you? What's your vote? Or you said you're voting Pokemon.
It's Pokemon, yeah. And if you throw in Pokemon Go, Stadium, all the rest of the games, it's a slam dunk then for me.
Yeah, I'm voting Pokemon as well. I love Pokemon. It is definitely like easily, no doubt. And if you've seen my Twitch stream, you know this, the Pokemon or the video game franchise that I've spent the most time playing. But I also have a lot of issues with the Pokemon mainline games that
I knew this first matchup was going to be rough for us. I'm glad we navigated it so successfully, Dan.
Yeah, look at us. Still friends so far.
Because it's Dan's favorite game versus my favorite game, and I conceded that pretty early in my head. Yeah.
I will say Pokemon is not my favorite game. It's just like to me like the most fun I have replaying a game. So I've played it more than any other game.
I think it's probably up there as one of my favorite like IPs. I don't know if the main series games are ever going to be in my tops, but just the IP, man, I love like the kids love it. We have the cards, we play Pogo all the time. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, Mike,
just
you
the
and I were
concept of it's so
crushing
good.
it at Pokemon Unite there for like 2 weeks.
Oh, and Pokemon Unite
when
was
I,
great.
when I
Yeah,
was
for
able
2
to put in
weeks.
some time into it and then just completely lost it as I moved on to other things.
Same.
All right. So Pokemon moves on with 3 votes. We not had a single dissenting vote yet. So I wonder how long it'll take for us to get there. Next up, we have Mario Kart versus Metroid. Mario Kart, the 4 seed, Metroid, the 13.
This one again was fairly easy. And
yeah,
look,
it's not even close, is it? Why is
I
Metroid
hate-
this high?
Oh, that's a really good question. I do like the Metroid series though, but I don't think it's, this is pretty high. When I was looking at some of the things that were below 16, I was scratching my head a little bit, but Mario Kart is so classic. It's such a great party game. It's so great playing solo. I mean, it's such an awesome experience that it's going to be tough going up against much of these games.
Yeah, it's a landslide for me. I've only tried to play 1 or 2 Metroid games, and I will say, it's kind of like Doom, where it's kind of a genre setter. Like the genre is called Metroidvania because of Metroid and Castlevania, so it has that going for it. But maybe just the genre of game isn't really for me. But Metroid games have just really never hooked me anyway.
Yeah, the thing is, they're both genre defining things, right? But Mario Kart is so genre defining that it prevents other games in that genre from even being made.
Existing. Yeah.
They're like, why would we even try? We're not going to be able to beat it. There are other attempts, and none of them are very good.
Donkey Kong Racing on Nintendo 64 is actually very fun.
Very good. Diddy Kong Racing or Donkey Kong?
Diddy Kong, yes, Diddy Kong Racing.
Diddy Kong.
This was much closer for me because I think the Metroid games are really good and I really like them a lot. But I've probably logged more Mario Kart hours just in my life than any other of these franchises. Just because.
Really?
I mean, just because like for ages 4 to 24, I was playing this anytime I hung out with somebody. Like it wasn't intentional. It was just like
it
always,
just happens. It
was
just
always
all of a
there.
sudden there's a controller in your hand and you're playing Mario Kart.
I played it on my wedding day with my groomsmen while we were waiting to go to the venue. Like it just sort of is always around.
Which one?
The Switch 8 Deluxe, I guess it's called. And I smoked all of them. And it was really a good omen for my wedding. So
that was it. That was the test.
I also played Hades on my wedding day, which is in my top 5 games. Just throwing that out there.
Not in the bracket, Hades.
Yes.
What's the, maybe this is a more fun question for the Mario Kart Metroid matchup. What's the best Mario Kart?
We can't do
64.
this.
64.
I think it's Double Dash.
Oh, Double
Dash is very good. I think 64 feels very smooth, and almost every track in 64 to me is iconic.
Yeah.
Like if they released, I know a fair amount of them are in the 8 Deluxe, but every single track in that game, if they put it in 8 Deluxe, would be my favorite in that game.
It's so tough because I think those 2 games are definitely up there, but I have such fond memories of the original Mario Kart on Super Nintendo, playing it with my cousins. Wow. And it was this isn't my answer. This isn't my answer yet. But this whole series I have such fond memories. But that, like, it's so weird thinking about that because I was like younger than my kids are, playing this game with my cousins. And then like as I've gone through stages of life, then I was up on the Wii version of Mario Kart, trying to unlock all of these characters for Micah as Santa. To unlock Dry Bone Bowser for him on Christmas morning, and it was Santa that did it. And so cute. I think, and this is my disclaimer. This is my message to Nintendo. Please put in secret characters again to these Mario Kart games, because I would play hours of Mario Kart just to unlock these characters.
Even a bare bones career mode in the same vein that they've done for some of their other recent releases, like tennis and golf. Like if they had a bare bones career mode in there, I think it would
that'd be awesome. But because of that memory with Micah, I think I'm going with the Wii game. I don't even remember what number it was. Is that 8? Because they remade it for Switch, right?
I thought 8 was Wii U, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So it must have been 7, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Mario Kart also gets points as being the only Nintendo Switch game that works online. Literally the only one.
Yeah.
All of the other ones.
The rest are as broken
don't
as
work.
fuck. Yeah.
They're so broken.
Please, another disclaimer to Nintendo. Please
Yeah.
fix your
Please fix
online
that.
servers, please.
Yes.
But Mario
Just
Kart
make it
Online
usable.
works. Mario
Just
Kart
usable
Online
at
works
all.
like a gym. So like they clearly
Mhm.
know how to do it. They just I can't figure it out.
All right. Well, this leads. So this sounds like another 3-0 count, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This sets us up well for another Mario offshoot franchise for the 5 versus 12. We have 5 seed Smash Brothers versus Fallout.
It's
This
a
one's-
shame the Fallout franchise doesn't also include the like Skyrim and Oblivion games, because I feel like I always hold them together in my mind, but I don't think the Fallout games alone are enough to push it past for me. I played
This
New
one-
Vegas and I played 4, and I don't
Yeah.
know.
This one was more serious, because of Fallout. I mean, there's that game is the whole series is great, but 3, New Vegas, 4, all of this, they're just like trendsetters. Like everybody knew what Fallout 3, New Vegas, and then when 4 came out, everybody was playing them and talking about them, and it's such a great story. Everybody loves this post-apocalyptic feel, and like the styling that they had in those games were so like mid-century mixed with a post-apocalyptic. It was so cool. It was like a really cool like mix of Kool-Aid for the game. But these Nintendo franchises are just too hard. They're too
Kings.
tough to go up against.
Yep.
It's too hard.
Also,
Smash-
Fallout 76. So
Yeah. We
There
don't
you
have
go.
to mention that one. We don't. I didn't bring that one up for a reason.
yeah, sorry about that.
But no, I smash for me on this one.
Yeah. You're smashing Smash.
Smash and smash.
Does everybody have a Smash main?
Currently, it's King DDD
Nice.
on the newest. What is
Sure.
it? Ultimate.
Ultimate?
Smash Ultimate.
Yeah. Ultimate.
This actually leads perfectly into the next bracket, because as soon as they introduced Cloud Strife from the Final Fantasy games,
Nice.
he immediately became my main. And
You're like,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
even
force
care.
this character into the meta.
I don't even care. I told Micah that. Like he's a huge Smash fan. By the way, for the listeners, Micah's my 17-year-old son who kills me in every video game now. And there's that moment as a parent where you're just like, well, this is it. This is the moment that I have been surpassed.
I will never be prouder of my child than I am now.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly. But yeah, I looked him in the eye and said, I don't care how horrible he is. Cloud is my main.
Mhm.
You got to respect that. My
That's true.
first like when I was first playing Smash on N64, it was Kirby.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
was my
won
first
a high school tournament in high school on the 64 version playing as Pikachu.
No
My
shit.
new main is Bowser.
Nice.
I
okay.
play a lot of Bowser too. Bowser and DDD both just like because they require very little like technical skill.
Yeah.
You can just
Right.
kind of get in there and
You're big.
fuck shit up. Yeah.
I was
Yep.
very much on the same vein. I like the swordsman. So I was either Roy or Marth as well,
Mm.
mainly because
Nice.
that hold B button, it's a
Yeah.
hammer, man. You don't have to do
Yeah.
And
anything.
anything you can spam is my
Exactly.
go-to. Well, Mike teased it. We should just have him host the show, I think. We have with our next matchup here, 6 seed Final Fantasy versus 11 Metal Gear. This is such a fun matchup for me. And I don't know which way I'm going to go. I honestly don't have a ton of experience with either of these. So I'm really curious to see what your guys' thoughts are first.
Look, I'm really biased here. It didn't even matter who was up against Final Fantasy. It was chalk circle. I wrote it down, circled it. I mean, to be fair, some of these other ones that we've already talked about, it's going to be tough to go up against with Final Fantasy, but I fell in love with this series with specifically Final Fantasy VII, but I did play the earlier games prior to that on the Super Nintendo as well. But when 7 dropped, it just blew my mind. It was the most, at the time, beautiful game most impactful story to, I mean, it was so well done. And so much to the point where they remade it recently, and it's just, that's an amazing playthrough as well. But you get Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9. Look, they have what they're about to have 16. 16's coming out this year.
Right.
I think it's 16, maybe. Yeah, 16. And they have an MMO. They have everything in this genre. It changes every time the game drops. It has new functionality. To Preston's point with God of War, they don't care what the old game had. They'll release a completely different game and name it Final Fantasy whatever. And they might
even name it Final Fantasy whatever based on their naming conventions. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I think based on the naming conventions, they'll name it Final Fantasy 15-2, the Remix Redux 3.
Look, I will say that it was completely confusing. That is why they did not do sequels up until that point, because once they start doing sequels, they're like, wait a second, how do we name this?
Yeah,
it's the Final Fantasy franchise confuses me immensely, and I know they clearly are very popular because they've made, I mean, dozens of them, right? Like, because they do exceed just like the Final Fantasy 16. Right. And as you say, every game seems like a completely different game, like a completely different kind of game. What is Final Fantasy? What is I've played Final Fantasy 3 like on Nintendo DS. That's like, and I've had like a couple other very minor forays into the franchise, but it just like breaks my brain. I can't really wrap my mind around any of it.
I'm with you too. And to be honest, out of the games I've played in this series, I'm leaning on Metal Gear here. Oh. The thing I think that binds these two together that's so funny is they miss very frequently. Like both of these franchises put out some absolute crap. I think Metal Gear, just because it has less games, less so. But the most recent Metal Gear game, which is the one after, I hate this, the Death Stranding director, when he left Metal Gear to go do Death Stranding.
Kojima, is that right?
Kojima. The game they put out after that is one of the worst video games of all time, like by anyone who has played it. So like these franchises miss.
But the one before that is considered incredible.
Metal Gear Solid Pain 5. It's amazing. It's the only one in either of these franchises that I played start to finish and completed. It is unbelievably good, and I think like that is going to be tough for me to get off of.
Mike, what is the highest high that Final Fantasy has reached? Sell me on this.
Yeah,
my vote is very malleable here. Yes.
Yeah.
My friends would tell me 7 remake would be the highest high they've had with it.
I think, I mean, especially recently. I mean, I think it's the remake. But I think it's 7 period. I mean, if you have 7 and then 7 remake, very similar, it's at the time it was they just exploded onto the scene. I don't know, it's just really tough to say the highest high because they're so different with each title that comes out. There's not much carryover. It's like the exact opposite of like the MCU. There's literally no much ties between the characters in these games. The highest high though, it's got to be centered around Final Fantasy 7, either the original that came out in 97 or the remake that came out a couple years ago. And they're continuing. They have taken that Final Fantasy 7 game, put it on the next gen console, and they're releasing it in like 3 or 4 parts over the next 6 years. I mean, it's that big.
How long would you need to successfully explain the story of all of the Final Fantasy games?
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, we would
take longer than a day.
Yeah, we would have to triple the podcast time.
Oh, okay.
I would say you could probably have a whole podcast dedicated just to explaining that. And have like a whole season on it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, without any question. 100%. It's tough, man. It's hard to, it's a JRPG. And so it's tough.
If you don't vibe with those, you're not going to like it.
Exactly. If you're not a big JRPG fan, it's probably not your cup of tea. And you really connect with certain characters in the series. There's a lot of people that love 7. There's a lot of people that love 8 and 9, and hate the other ones. But yeah, it's tough. It's hard to sell it when I know that it's really, it's kind of a narrow cup of tea for somebody.
Yeah. So it sounds like we have a split vote, and it comes down to me. And I do wish I had played more. I've dabbled them a little bit, but neither of them have really ever hooked me. But I think I am going to vote for Final Fantasy here, just from like an objective standpoint. I think it's had more of an impact over a longer time on like the greater video gaming community than the Metal Gear games have.
I think that's a fair argument, and I'm happy to be the first dissenting vote of our.
Yeah,
our show
I'm
thus
glad
far.
we finally got one. My goodness, it was going to be a really boring show.
Yeah.
So Final Fantasy does move on 2 votes to 1 over Metal Gear, but that was an interesting one, and I'm glad we were able to discuss it. Next up, we have 7 seed Elder Scrolls versus the 10 seed Assassin's Creed. Now, I will say, I've been setting you guys up to start the conversations for the most part, and I will take the lead here. I do not like the Assassin's Creed games. I do not get them.
Can I ask which ones you played so I can paint this conversation in my head?
So I played like a little bit of the first couple, mostly like at a friend's house. Like, didn't play the whole game through.
Sure.
And then the first one I really tried to play by myself was I can't remember if it's 3 or 4. It's the one where you're a Native American set in like the Revolutionary War.
That would be
That's
3.
Yeah,
because 4 is
3.
Black Flag.
And
so this makes sense because you've played all of the dog shit ones.
Well, I
want to let you finish them.
I mean, I've seen a fair number of them. Like I've seen a fair bit of Black Flag, and I will admit that one does look fun. But to me, one, I don't get the whole like time travel thing. That makes 0 sense to me. I don't know why they felt like they had to do some sort of weird thing where they're like connecting the games in that way. Like, just have you play as a different assassin in each game.
Nobody's asking
totally
for
fine.
it. Nobody's asking for some sort of narrative reality where all these things can exist. Like, nobody cares. It's a video game. You can just be in ancient Rome and it's fine. That's what video games are for.
Yeah. No questions asked. Just go kill people.
Yeah, just go do the thing. Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that's Call of Duty in a nutshell right there.
There you go. Oh, you're in World War II now. Does anybody be like, wait a second.
Wait a minute.
Last game, we were in World War I.
I need to be some guy named Beck Dantley, who's actually in the present time, traveling in time from Vietnam War to World War II the next time for it to make any sense to me whatsoever. No one's asking for that. Literally no one.
What the hell is Beck Dantley?
I don't know. What is the guy's name?
That was the best name.
It's some like stupid made up white dude's name, right? Isn't it's some like horrible, stupid name.
So good. It literally, what's so funny about that narrative structure they have in their games is most narrative storytellers would tell you to immerse your player in the game and do everything in your power to not take them out of it. Don't have menus, don't have UI. It literally pulls you out.
Playing a video game.
Like physically, it removes you from the story that you're getting invested in, and it pulls you into some weird little lab where you're trying to steal something. It's so frustrating to me.
It's really dumb. And also, I will say, like, pure gameplay, even removing that, in the ones I've played, and I know that they have done a better job of getting away from this, I think because people have found it very boring and frustrating, is like there's just too much stealth. Stealth is not that fun in video games when it's like, follow this guy from one end of town to the other end of town.
Yeah.
And don't let him know you're there. There are hay bales you can climb into sometimes. Isn't that fun? No. Your trailer of this game is being a fucking badass going around murdering British soldiers all the time. Where is that part of the game? It wasn't in there.
It is one of the best video game trailers I've ever seen, and the game was garbage.
Yeah, I felt so duped, and I'll never buy another Assassin's Creed game because of it.
So I have played Odyssey and Black Flag, which I think most people would tell you are the 2 best Assassin's Creed games. I also, in the same vein as you, Dan, I think I played the first and 2, like, I think I rented them from like Redbox or Blockbuster or something, but like, I thought those were like fine. I thought Black Flag was pretty good. I'm not as high on as some other people. Odyssey does not feel like an Assassin's Creed game, except for the times where they pull you out of the stupid Animus and they're like, go talk to Sarah and get her clipboard. Besides that,
God damn it, Beck, get off my screen.
The times where they have really set you up into an environment. I'm also playing through Valhalla right now, which is the most recent one.
Oh, I've heard that one's quite fun. Yeah.
Really good. Like for Odyssey, they actually had, and we're skipping the ancient Egypt one in between Black Flag and Odyssey, but in Odyssey, they actually had professors and scholars of ancient Greece come in and build the open world, and it shows. If you are like into that at all, it is really cool. And I don't know of another video game environment where that is like the case, where like I am seeing things that we have seen in their decrepit ancient form, and they had experts come in and rebuild them inside a video game world, and you get to walk around. That is really, really cool to me. And I think shows the potential of the franchise that they refuse to live up to over and over and over again. But Odyssey is very, very good, and one of my favorite games I've played in a while. And I am a little low on the Elder Scrolls franchise, if we want to turn the page there.
Oh, well,
Really?
real quick, before we turn the page, because I do have to defend a little bit on Assassin's Creed, okay?
Please.
It's not one of my favorite franchises. I know I've got a lot of friends, a lot of people, and actually in the Friggin Nerds community are huge Assassin's Creed fans. So they're going to be cringing through this when they hear me talking. But I actually dug the idea of them taking you out in the Animus.
No, Mike.
Look, what was the Matrix? Like, you were literally...
You could have interrupted us when we were shitting on these people at any moment. I didn't know that one of them was here with us.
Look, I actually dug the idea. I don't know if they executed it the best way that they could have. The idea was fun. I like the idea, but I'm not like a huge fan of the stealth, too much of it. Maybe if I had a little bit more free time and I could spend hours stealthing around killing things, I would be okay. But this is like, look, this is like the D&D group that we have. It gets to a point where you just rush into things and just start stabbing.
You want to Leroy Jenkins at some.
You want to Leroy Jenkins, and Assassin's Creed is a lot of stealth. Now, I will say the most fun I've had in the Assassin's Creed games, I think it was Assassin's Creed 3 that had online multiplayer, and you were able to play like hide and seek, but you killed everybody.
Really?
Oh,
that's actually
so
that sounds
good.
kind of fun, actually.
I don't
so
remember
fun.
that. Wow.
Look, I would even say go try it, but I bet the servers aren't up anymore.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
chance.
I highly doubt that.
Dude, you would play in a room of, I don't know, 16 other players or so, and you'd run around the map and you would try to stealth around. Nobody would knew who a player was versus a computer AI, and you would stealth around and try not to be try to stay alive the longest. And so you'd hide and jump down on people and kill them. And it was fun. It was really fun. That was my best experience with Assassin's Creed. All I have to say, Skyrim is like one of my favorite games of all time. So Assassin's Creed.
That's the interesting thing about Elder Scrolls. Its selling point feels like a single game.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that single game I think would be in the running for a lot of people as the greatest game of all time, and is still played to this day by many, many people, despite being quite old, and people mod the hell out of it. And
I just bought it for like the fifth freaking time a few months ago. Like, I just can't, it's on, it's remastered. I should go jump back in there and play it again. And I play it for a night and then, never touch it again.
Yeah. And it, like, I don't know if it counts, but the mods, I think it has to count, because it feels like such an intrinsic part of the game at this point, is like the funny, silly mods. One of my favorite videos on YouTube is Video Game Donkey playing a like completely broken modded version of Skyrim, where like Thomas the Tank Engine is all the dragons in the game. And then if they're like giant crabs, it's like it's just such a fun game to watch, even though I've never like played a ton of it. And it's just so iconic. It does feel weird for me to vote for a franchise based on a single game. Which I think,
that's tough.
But I think I have to do it though, because I really just don't like the Assassin's Creed games.
Well, and I'm over here, I don't hate the Assassin's Creed games, but Skyrim, like you're saying, that one single game is enough for me to take out the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Yeah. Preston,
which I don't know if should that be allowed? I mean, I think it should be allowed. It seems pretty crazy.
I didn't do it in God of War, but I think that's a different case.
I think it's a very different case. God of War has the test of time the way that Skyrim has.
I think Skyrim was very important, but I think it was almost immediately surpassed by people that built upon what they accomplished. And I think for like a franchise to be one of the greatest of all time, Like it built a very cool looking house that everybody just way outdid in the years to come. Not even close, no question.
I don't think that's true because I think that
I don't know.
So many people would not still be playing.
What is the Skyrim game that came out this year?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say.
It's Elden Ring. And why would you ever play Skyrim over Elden? For what reason at all ever in history would you ever choose Skyrim over Elden Ring?
But you wouldn't. I'm telling everybody not to.
Never.
Because Elden Ring is fabulous. But the problem is that was it. That's the only thing that's ever been close to Skyrim for me.
I disagree. I think there are a lot of open world RPGs that hit. Now, I don't think they would have existed with the same kind of ingenuity, and I think like Skyrim proved that a lot of things could work. It showed what people wanted, yada yada. But I think it was, surpassed pretty quickly. It's very good. I beat the whole thing. Like it's very good. But
I think you're underestimating how old Skyrim is.
But part of my perspective here is like, would I go back and play it now? A lot of these games are old. I would go play Mario Kart 64 right now. That's a lot older than Skyrim. And like they're very different games, not a fair comparison, but like for something to stand the test of time, like if I wanted that fix, then Skyrim would be 5th on the list probably.
But Preston, Britt is going to hate me for this, but I don't think that is the general opinion from most people.
I don't think
there are so many people.
I think you're right.
Replay Skyrim over and over and
literally don't play other video games.
Yeah.
I think you're right, and I think Skyrim like is a massive like achievement, and it changed the game, but it changed the game for the better, and it got left behind. It walked so everybody else could run, and I don't think it like. Yeah.
Wow. I don't think you're going to get much sympathy for this take.
That's fine.
We'll I think we have
I just think
on.
like the formula it made was done so much better. 5 years.
I think we have to move on. I think he's burying himself, Mike. He's burying himself. Let him bury himself. All right. The final matchup of the first round here. 8 seed Grand Theft Auto versus 9 seed Halo. This is such a fun matchup.
This one's really tough for me, guys, mainly because I haven't played much of either franchise. I have played Halo 2 and 3. I played a few minutes of 5. I think it was 5. And GTA I played a long time ago. I think maybe Vice City when it first dropped was the last one I played. So my opinion here is gonna not be much. It's not gonna have much weight behind it. So
that's fair. That's fair.
That's the subtitle of this podcast. But
that's the short description of the Friggin Nerds realm.
Listen to a bunch of guys talk about nothing they know about. Yeah. Preston, do you have thoughts, takes, opinions?
Yeah, I don't really get that much into the GTA games, despite having played 3, 4, and 5. The Halo games feel more impactful to me as a franchise, in part because of online multiplayer in the like early days of Xbox Live. Like I think that was not a thing. That was like a glint in some people's eye at that point. And then as soon as that stuff hit, people were like, "Oh, this is going to change not just video games, but like entertainment, like what people are doing in their free time." So that was a big deal, and they're a big part of that. So I would, yeah.
I think the argument for GTA is that they've hit at a much more consistent rate than Halo has over the years. Like what has Halo really brought to the table since like even Halo 2?
I mean, Halo 3 is good. Halo 3 is still in the top echelon of like first person shooters, I would say.
But aren't
ODST
kind of
and Reach are fine.
They're all like the same game though, basically, right? The first few Halos, at least in terms of multiplayer, which I think is what most people rate them very highly for.
Probably, yeah. And then Infinite is a little more different, but still mostly the same.
It feels like they've not put out a meaningful game since like Xbox 360.
Well, and I'm over here talking about like Halo's impact on Xbox Live, but isn't GTA Online just like one of the craziest things in the world right now? I'm not very into it, but I've heard it's just kind of amazing what you can do.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, that's the reason why they haven't had a new GTA in so long, is because it just continues to be
People
successful.
just keep playing the
It
shit out of it.
Yeah, it keeps getting
Yeah.
played. It keeps getting played. So I mean, and GTA is such a unique type of game. I mean, when it first dropped, it was like really the first of its kind. You could be this bad person that just did all of these things and stole cars and killed people and ran from the cops. And you know, Halo is a first person shooter, which happens a lot, but Halo does that very, very well. But that's what's tough is, you know, I've heard compared to other I'm not a huge first person shooter gamer, but I've heard that Halo's mechanics are just like always you know, breaking the mold. So between that and Destiny, I've heard those two are the best first person shooter mechanics. It's tough not having much knowledge of big knowledge of either franchise, but I'm going with this. If you throw up a picture of Master Chief to somebody and you throw up a picture of a random person from GTA, people know who Master Chief is.
Yeah.
Do you think Xbox is still around if not for the Halo franchise? I mean, at the time it came out, it was pretty rough there. PlayStation had a nice head start. They had some nice IP that was already going.
What are some of the other Xbox IPs? I can't even. It's
not a lot.
It's Halo. I think it'd be really, really tough for them if Halo was not a thing.
They have Flight Simulator now. So
they have Forza. Forza's big.
They have Forza. Forza is pretty big.
Forza. Yeah. Well, that's a really good point by Preston.
Yeah. Halo kind of saved Xbox.
Do you think that makes up for me trashing Skyrim?
I don't know, man. Those are some pretty hot takes.
It feels, if you had asked me going into today if I was going to vote for Assassin's Creed over Elder Scrolls or just Skyrim, I would have said, "Are you insane? Of course not." I don't know how I talked myself into such a tizzy there. I'm now having taken a deep breath, I'm realizing what a mistake I made, and I'm just kind of hoping
you have to sleep with it now. You've made your bed.
It's true.
So are you both voting Halo then?
No, I'm going to vote GTA.
Oh shoot! And Mike, you're voting Halo.
I'm voting Halo.
I had kind of forgotten about GTA Online, and I think GTA Online is a landmark achievement of video games.
It is so close for me though, Dap. Yeah. I mean, it is like
I really was hoping that you two would both vote for the same thing, that I could vote. It's the meaningless consenting.
We're making you sweat.
Disconsenting vote. Yeah. I think Preston's point about Halo is such a good one. And I do think Halo has probably reached more people. Like, how many people our age haven't it? Nice. How many people like our age, just our approximate age, from Preston, and me up through Mike? How many people have not sat down and played co-op Halo at some point?
It's a low percentage, yeah.
Yeah, I think it just, especially those early ones, and I do think like Xbox games in general have really lagged for a long time. Halo games included have not been up to snuff with those early games, whereas GTA has maintained a level of like relevant excellence that people love every game that comes out, basically. But I think for that early impact that it had on at least our gaming lives, that I think I have to give the edge to Halo, and I don't feel good about it at all.
It does feel weird that I am certainly much more modernly biased here. Like, if I'm talking about if a franchise is good, it means, do I want to play the games like today?
Yeah, I think you really have to frame it better in terms of time it comes out.
I don't think so. I think that's the easiest way for me to do it. Would I play the game right now, and would it be fun? Like, I think that's the least complicated way I can be thinking about it.
Okay, we do need to conclude the first round because we've already gone so long here. But we will have plenty to pick up and discuss once we come back from a quick break. Okay, Preston, what are we drafting tonight?
And we are drafting the best ways to support the Drafted Podcast. You've got first overall pick. What are you taking?
I have the number one pick. Wow. I mean, what a draft to the number one pick for. This is a no-brainer, Preston. I'm taking the drafted Patreon. There's no better way to support the show, as you well know.
Yeah, it was clearly the top of my board. It's such a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, you can support us for as little as $3 a month. You get secret access to levels of the drafted Discord, where you get access just to me and Preston and the other subscribers and VIPs of the show. You also get to listen to episodes without this annoying commercial or any other commercial breaks in it, and you get the unedited cut of the pod as well. So, I mean, there really is no better way, both for us and for the listeners, to support the show.
Yeah, if you think we mess up on the cut you hear, oof. Just wait until you get the actual unedited version. It's a good first pick, Dan. For the second pick, I'm going to take rating us 5 stars on iTunes. Very helpful. And for my third pick there, I'll say following us on all of our channels, Twitter, Instagram, everything we've got. And I think draft is over, so we'll do my team versus your team.
Yeah, I mean, we got to send it to Twitter. But hey, maybe your vote will count extra too if you support us on Patreon.
I clearly won.
Okay, we are back, and I want to retort to a point that Preston just made right before the break, because I did not say anything. I bit my tongue when he said this initially, but he said that Mario Kart 64 runs so smooth when he said what his favorite Mario Kart 64, while also saying that old games basically all feel bad to him. Nintendo Mario Kart N64 or Mario Kart 64. When was the last time you played it?
You're not going to like the answer because it was actually fairly recently.
Really? Because it feels so
it's more out of dumb luck.
So unplayably clunky to me anytime.
It really does not to me, but I maybe I'm more used to it. But I take your point, but like I think that is why that game in particular and some others, and maybe Skyrim, but I haven't tried it in a little while. They stand the test of time. I would still play Smash 64 too. I don't know why I would, because they have Smash Ultimate. It's like just kind of
okay.
Nicer.
Okay, you bring it up. So I'm talking about Mario Kart. So let's get right into it. I wasn't gonna do this matchup first, but we're here anyway. It's 4-seed Mario Kart versus 5-seed Smash Brothers.
Oh.
And I will say, because I think that each Smash Brothers has gotten better than the last one.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I think every Smash Brothers that I've played has felt better, except I guess like the first Wii one, people preferred Melee.
Yeah,
correct.
But I have not played a Mario Kart game that I liked better than Double Dash, and they've had 3 iterations since. I don't like Mario Kart on the like motion sensor controls.
Oh god.
And it does not feel good to me, and that's how they're meant to be played. And so like they don't translate very well to controller to me.
That is how I unlocked Drago and Bowser, by the way. Was
motion controls?
Motion controls.
My God.
I did it, y'all. I did it.
Wow, what a warrior!
Legend.
I mean,
so I think, unlike Mario Kart, I think the most recent iteration of Smash Brothers is easily the best Smash Brothers. Ultimate is so much fun to play, and because I am going back multiple generations to get my ideal Mario Kart experience, I'm actually going to vote for the upset here and vote for Smash Brothers as the better game between the two. Better franchise.
Why did every Mario Kart after Double Dash not just have a Double Dash mode you could play?
I don't know.
Was that really so much extra gigabytes on the card or whatever the hell? Like, it doesn't seem like it would be that difficult. And even Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they're coming out with DLC for it now, which is like new tracks. But like, can you imagine people that would get into it if they came out with like a Double Dash DLC?
Yo, if they dropped a DLC that Double Dash features,
right,
everybody would explode.
People would go crazy. That feels like such a mistake.
It was cool. So good. It gave you such a rare mechanic for a racing game, which was co-op play.
Right.
I remember like my sister and I would play together. Like my sister, not the best driver or whatever, like when she was still younger. But so like we could feel like we were both playing and both winning, and it was just so much fun. I don't understand why they haven't brought that back either.
Has your sister gotten better at driving, Dan?
In real life or in Mario Kart?
Well, just either.
In Mario Kart, I don't know. It's been a while since we played. She did get better. We got to the point where we were pretty. We stopped co-oping and started racing against each other because it was more competitive.
You should just be able to toggle on the double dash feature, co-op right there, right in the same room. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm mad at Mario Kart now. This may affect my vote.
It should affect your vote.
Thank you.
It's a
Preston,
wasted
for bringing that up.
opportunity.
Yeah.
I think Pokemon games writ large should have integrated Pokemon Stadium into their main gameplay. I don't know why they didn't do that. Like, I think this is a legitimate criticism to make on franchises. Anyways, I'm voting for Smash too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not expect that.
Smash 64, Melee, and Ultimate are legendary.
I thought we were gonna have a rumble on this.
Also, where did real competitive games, like competitive like fighting games, really start? I guess Street Fighter would have been like way before, and then before that, I'm sure there was
arcade
others.
style, I think probably.
But it feels like I guess it's partly due to my age, but it feels like it really picked up around Melee.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think before that, there was like, I remember there being a huge competitive scene. It may have just been in arcades, like back in the day, showing my age a little bit. But the Marvel versus Capcom series.
Oh yeah, that was
fun. There were some real, like, you know, sweaty folks playing that. So
it was so funny because my friends and I played that as Marvel versus Marvel. We don't know who any of these Capcom people are.
Yeah. Dude, I would get wrecked. I would be in there just like casually playing, and somebody would come and drop a quarter on the machine and just completely wreck me. It was so bad. Crushed my little 12-year-old heart. I was going Mario Kart on this one. When you no knocks against Smash, like, it is amazing. I love it. But if you have a Mario Kart game, we just said it earlier, you can just throw a controller in somebody's hand and they can play it and they can enjoy it and they can have fun with it. Smash, you can get completely wrecked. And whenever I try to play Smash with Micah now, it's not fun. I do not have fun playing Smash.
This is a
with
bad
somebody
time.
That's great. But I can see why Smash would go up above Kart on you guys. I would definitely vote for Kart though, between the two.
That's very fair. You definitely have to play with people that are more your skill level. In Smash, it's more important than Mario Kart. It's like easier to handicap people in Mario Kart, like people that are better than you, I think, than in Smash.
I mean, they invented the catch-up mechanic, right? Like, if you fall further behind, you get stars and blue shells. Good for you. So, like,
and yeah, you can also turn on like the boundaries, like in bowling. You can't go off the track. It's a great thing to turn on for the kids to have fun. That's Smash, true. I just kill them.
Yeah, no boundaries for you.
Good point, Mike. But I'm still voting Smash here.
Me too.
That's fair.
Okay.
Also, Smash Ultimate has a campaign mode. As soon as Mario Kart gets a stupid campaign mode, we can talk.
I don't think you're ever gonna get that, to be honest.
No, but I'm angry about it.
That's a great idea, though. You should make kart games. Double dash.
Okay.
Campaign.
At Nintendo, this is my application. You're being dumb. Let me come in and fix your shop.
Mario Kart drafted.
Love it.
All right, next up, we have 3-seed Pokemon versus the 6-seed Final Fantasy.
Oh, no. They're paired together? Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
You did this to yourself.
Oh, no. This is bad.
I mean, this is a very easy one for me.
Kind of me, too. So if we want to just give Mike a minute to eulogize
do you need a minute,
his favorite franchise.
It may be what it's. I have a feeling you guys are probably on the same side on this. So my vote probably isn't going to matter too much. But I would probably, oh gosh, this is so hard. These are like two of my favorite franchises, like ever.
Yeah.
I would probably have to go with Pokemon as well. I'm assuming that's where you guys are going.
Yeah. If you want, I'm Preston, you're Pokemon as well. Yes.
Yes.
All right, Mike, if you want to change your vote to
just to stand with your fallen soldier,
an honorary meaningless vote to give love to Final Fantasy, I think that's totally fine.
Oh, I think I'm gonna stick with Pokemon. I mean, I Final Fantasy, it's you're near to my heart, but Pokemon has just had such a huge impact as a whole as an IP, and I think that that wins out.
Yeah. Okay. Next, Super Mario Brothers versus Elder Scrolls. I mean, this is we don't need to talk about this, do we?
I certainly don't.
I don't know. I'm curious to hear what Preston has to say.
Should we force Preston to alienate the Elder Scrolls stands any more than he already has?
You've lost. Thanks for playing. Listen, I want to make it perfectly clear for the people that are typing out their Discord message to me right now. I think I nearly 100% in Skyrim. I've played so much of it. So don't come at me with the, if you would just like, no. Get out here with that. Beyond that, it's clearly Super Mario Brothers, and we can talk about it some other time.
No, it's cool. I don't think anyone will complain about this. I was trying to see if you would say something really inflammatory about Elder Scrolls one more time.
Yeah. Usually given enough time, I do. Yeah.
All right. Final matchup of the second round, we have Legend of Zelda versus the 9 seed Halo. Legend of Zelda, of course, still being the number 1 overall seed. This I think is actually a better matchup than it will end up going down in the vote.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
So it's a 60-40, but it's still a win.
I mean, I think it's probably a little more lopsided than that, but I think it's gonna be an easy 3-0 sweep, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I think this is pretty easy on my side.
Yeah, I mean, Legend of Zelda has 2 games that are maybe the best game of all time.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right,
so we're voting Halo, right?
And Halo has Halo Reach, which is clearly the best game of all time.
Yeah,
that's a reach.
So Zelda moves on.
Yes.
But like Halo hangs around, and
Sure.
for like the
respectable,
like most of the first half, and then they're like, oh, do we have something blue in here?
It's
surprisingly only a 6-point lead going into halftime.
Well, no, I think it's Zelda. Zelda goes like a run right into half. And like opens like a double digit lead, like okay, and so then they just pour it on, open up the bench. But for the first like 15 minutes of the first half, we're like, oh, is something happening here?
Yep.
And then something is not happening here. But we'll always have had those 15 minutes. We'll always had those 15 minutes. Okay, so we are in the semifinals now. Let's do the 2 and 3 matchup, which is Super Mario Brothers versus Pokemon. And I would like to start this one. I think I probably love Pokemon the most of the 3 of us, and I think I've probably played the least Super Mario Brothers out of the 3 of us. And this is an easy Super Mario Brothers pick for me.
Wow.
Pokemon. Here's the problem with Pokemon, especially if you're not counting, the offshoot games like Stadium, which, Preston, I will say I don't think they should put Pokemon Stadium type games in the mainline games. I don't think that really works. I think they should just keep making more. And
what about putting Pokemon Puzzle League in the main games? Pokemon Puzzle League is an elite level
only
game.
If I also get Pokemon Pinball in there.
Fair.
Okay.
Man.
Why can't you go into one of the stores and just play the
pinball machine?
What is going on over there? Like, who is holding them so tightly on the leash where they can't do anything fun? I'm sorry. Continue.
Fun doesn't make money, apparently.
Apparently.
Oh man.
Here's the problem with Pokemon games. They keep getting worse.
Yeah.
They keep getting worse. And like when I first played Sword and Shield, I was like, wow, this is really fun. It's like, it looks way better than Pokemon games I'm used to, and it's like more open world. And there's all these new Pokemon. And I will say I do like a lot of the new Pokemon in the new one. But like I think the most value that the mainline Pokemon games bring is replayability. Like every game
and fan-made ROMs.
Well, okay, yes, that's the thing. If you're counting that, then honestly, I'm voting for Pokemon over Super Mario.
We are certainly not counting that.
Well, you can't count that. Now, you can't count that. The Pokemon ROM hacks are so much fun. They're the most fun I think I've had playing video games. I do them on Twitch all the time. Shout out DAP_sauce on Twitch. Follow me if you like that kind of thing. But like, I then tried to replay Sword and Shield. And it was just so goddamn boring. Like they've made them so easy. They've made them games for literal babies. And I understand that it's a kids game, but all of these games are, for the most part, are kids games. All these Nintendo games are made for 10.
And they still find ways to scale to multiple
adults. Yeah. And the Pokemon games do not. And they have like VGC, which is a competitive double battle scene, but I don't think Pokemon shouldn't really get credit for that because they basically give it no thought, no wherewithal into like how they design their games. It just kind of exists, and then VGC happens. So yeah, I like make Pokemon games that are gritty and hard, and They don't even need any different to me because I think the formula works. The formula is good. You can tweak the formula and still make a really fun game that's a little challenging because the hack-ROMs show that. And Pokemon, it just feels so lazy. They rest in their laurels, and they keep trudging out these half-baked, lazy ideas that just aren't fun to play anymore.
Daniel, what's the best mainline Pokemon game of all time?
Now, to be fair, I've not played every single one. But for me, it is Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is the Gen 4 remix of.
Was that the first one you've played?
No, the very first Pokemon games I played were the very first. Pokemon Red was the first Pokemon game I played.
Yeah, I had Yellow. Yeah. Mine would be Silver, but I've never played the Silver remake.
Oh, so. Preston, do yourself a favor.
What can I play it on? I have to get an emulator, right?
You can play it for free on your computer, mister.
Okay, cool. I may give that a shot because Silver, the idea that is to me the most interesting thing Pokemon has done in its existence is you finish that game and then the entire world of the previous game opens up to you. Mm-hmm. And never have they accomplished something that feels that cool. Like I remember sitting there as a kid and being like, I'm done with this. Oh, I'm not done with this. Oh my God.
The very final boss is the character from the first game that you play as.
Right.
You go and play yourself. And the reason for that is apparently I've read is that they this popularity of Pokemon kind of surprised them. And so they did not intend on making it a series. So Gold and Silver were meant to be sequels and the finale of Pokemon games. And so that's why It's okay, well, it's a sequel to the previous game. So let's have all these tie-ins that people will love. And then they're oh, actually we've made the most popular video game in history.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to
keep going.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean Super Mario Brothers easily. I mean, it just feels like every game that comes out is more groundbreaking than the last. If Pokemon, it is so frustrating, especially compared to Pokemon, because Super Mario does new stuff. They try new things and make it really exciting and do it so well. And I don't understand why Pokemon can't do that.
Yeah, no, I said the exact same thing earlier on the show. I mean, they stick to their formula that makes them money. The crazy thing is I know that they're doing this and I continue to just keep buying the games and playing them and I love them. Like when I first start playing Sword and Shield, I mean, it was amazing. I was having a blast. I had the app with me. I was trying to figure out where all the Pokemon were at what times to make sure I could fill out the decks. And that's really fun. It's really hard for a 36-year-old father to try to fill out the complete decks, and I never got close to doing it. But it was fun for those 2 or 3 weeks that I was fully invested in it. When I jump back into that game, though, I'm like, oh, okay, I think I may be done.
Yeah, you're grinding.
With Mario, you could jump back. You could play that game, any of them, really, at any point. Just pop it in, and you just start jumping around like Mario. It's tough. It's tough though, because Pokemon is such a huge IP. I actually just had this argument tonight while we were looking at this bracket. I did not know that Mario and Pokemon are going to go head to head, but I mean, if you throw, I'm doing the same thing I do with Master Chief. If you throw Mario up to anybody, they are going to know who that character is. And
if you throw Pikachu up to anybody,
I don't know. I don't know.
Pikachu is definitely up there as most iconic video game characters, but I think Mario is the most.
But I think Mario is at the top.
Yeah, right. There's not a video game
number 2 versus number 1. You're probably right. I am anticipating. I'm anticipating I will get to talk more about the Super Mario games here in just a bit, so I'm going to save my spiel. But I'm curious if you guys have ever played a Pokemon-like game that you have liked, like one that tried to reiterate the formula, because many have tried, but a game like that you have liked, and not like a fan-made ROM, but no, really.
The thing is, I think for me, it's because I'm so nostalgic with the Pokemon, and the Pokemon games that are like Pokemon, to me, they all feel like they so desperately want to be a Pokemon game. And even if they do have better mechanics, all you can really see and feel about the game is the knockoff Pokemon.
I'd look to build off that too, Dap. I think that's a really good point. I think too, if Sword and Shield didn't have some Kanto Pokemon in it, I wouldn't like it as much.
Yeah.
It's the nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it's the nostalgia. And my whole squad, usually the 6 slots are all Kanto Pokemon once I get them. I mean, it's that nostalgia. Yeah.
The little I've played of Tim Tim, I liked just fine, but I could tell it was like really trying very hard.
Yeah.
I will say a very small game that I have not heard of any other single person ever playing called Monster Sanctuary is a Pokemon lookalike that I think is fantastic and very good. So if anybody's looking to like grind through, and you could, because it's a small indie 2D style platformer, like you could probably get it for like $8. So would highly recommend to somebody trying. The biggest thing there is the Pokemon have their own skill trees, each one, where you can spec them into certain styles. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, if Pokemon put this in, you're suddenly getting into like some JRPG type stuff.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, so Super Mario Brothers, it sounds like 3 votes to none, moves on to the final. Who will they face? I don't know who will it face. I don't know why I'm making Super Mario a living plural noun. I'm not sure. But Zelda versus Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers is the only semifinalist to break seed. Yeah. Who's winning this matchup? Again, I kind of teased this previously, but Zelda has 2 of the games that I think would both really be in the running for considered to be greatest game of all time.
I've already on my sheet here, I've already wrote the final matchup. I love Smash. I love Smash. But Zelda's the 1 seed for a reason. I mean, Breath of the Wild was a masterpiece. Ocarina of Time was like one of my favorite games I ever played as a kid. It's really hard to go up against Zelda. I feel bad for Mario in the next round.
1 seed for a reason. Preston, what's your vote?
1 seed for a reason.
Okay.
It's too good.
I actually will say I am going to vote for Smash Brothers here because I actually have had a lot more fun playing Smash Brothers than Zelda. And maybe that's an unfair, honestly, like an unfair thing to say because they're clearly very different things. Smash Brothers is like, it's a party game, whereas Zelda is like, especially Breath of the Wild, an actual work of art, which I don't think you could really say of for Smash Brothers. But I do think Smash Brothers deserves a vote here, just because it excels so strongly at what it is. It has done for such a long time. I mean, it's genre defining, So I'm gonna give it a vote here, knowing that Zelda goes through. While if somehow what you two split it, I would have voted for Zelda, if that makes sense. So kind of a meaningless.
It's a sympathy vote.
Exactly.
Vote,
exactly.
A
conciliatory vote for Smash. So that sets up our final matchup for the greatest video game franchise of all time. Also, shout out Nintendo.
Yeah. And just crushing it.
I will say that like the top 16 was, I think, maybe a little more Pokemon heavy than I would have it personally if I were doing this. But I mean, if you count Pokemon as a Nintendo franchise, which even though like they're maybe made by a different studio, I think you probably have to. I mean, they sweep semifinals here, so pretty impressive stuff, Nintendo. Keep it up. Zelda and Super Mario Brothers, guys. What's the best video game franchise of all time?
It was always going to be this.
And I'm kind of mad at myself about this. When I see the 1 and 2 in the final, I get so mad. I'm like, this is the most
What did we just do for the last 90 minutes? Did it even have a point to it? Why are we even doing this?
Ranker is pretty right about this stuff, it would seem.
Yeah, they've crowdsourced it.
Yep. So now the discussion begins, though, because this is.
So let me give the pitch on why Super Mario Bros. Should win, even though I don't think I'm there yet, because I'm not quite sure.
I'm very intrigued on what the pitch is, because I'm pretty open on this, actually.
So the games that stick out to me are the original 2D platforming games, which at the time completely changed video games.
The pretty much the only 2D platformers I enjoy playing apart from Rayman Legends, and that obviously is nowhere in this consideration. I am like not a 2D platformer, but the OG Marios are just so good.
Gotcha. Super Mario Odyssey, the most recent entry in the series, I do not feel like they have had an arc. I feel like they hit every single time. Not every single time Mario's in a game, which would be insane. But the times that like this is a 3D platformer and it has Mario in it, there are not games they miss. Super Mario Galaxies 1 would be the one that people are like, 2 was just like way better. And Super Mario Galaxies 1 is still getting like a 97 on Metacritic. It's unbelievable. Super Mario Odyssey is my top like 5 favorite games of all time. It does the remarkable thing where they teach you how to do something in that game, and then as soon as you get good at it, they take it away from you and they give you something else to do. And it's that constant loop of like, give me new things to do. And then at the end of the game, they're like, okay, remember that thing we taught you 17 hours ago? You're going to have to use it now to get across this lava pit or whatever. It's unbelievable. They scale incredibly well, where somebody who's been playing games for 6 months can go in and get the amount of moons to win. And somebody who's been playing games their entire life can go in and 100% it and be challenged every single step of the way. They don't miss. The Zelda games miss quite a bit. There's a reason that Breath of the Wild stuck out so much, and people call it a departure. And the reason it departed is because they were on a little bit of a missing streak there for a bit. In the same way I talk about with God of War, although I would say Zelda games on average were hitting a little bit more often. But they had to re-examine their entire philosophy to make what is probably the greatest game of all time. Whereas the Mario games are like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And there's something to be said for that.
And I will say, you skipped over what I think most people would say is the most iconic Super Mario, which is Super Mario 64. You didn't even list that as like your
This is true.
I think like the only really skippable one is Super Mario Sunshine, which is like a little
which is still very good. It's still so good. It's probably my least favorite of all. Literally, it's so good.
I was sitting here trying to remember what the name of the game was. I was like, what was that? I remember you having like a flower or something.
It's a squirt gun, basically.
A squirt gun. Yeah. Yep.
And then came Galaxies 1 and 2, which were fabulous. And like they just, the times they've done it, they hit.
Yeah.
Even the Bowser's Fury thing that came out very recently as kind of a DLC add-on or whatever to Super Mario 3D World is one of the best Super Mario platformers I've ever played. And it was like an 8-hour DLC they made. It was incredible. It was open world, which they don't do. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. That was a very good pitch, Preston. That was like really good. Here's how I'm going to answer this. I think I'm trying to picture like personally what I would sit down and play if I had the choice. Would I play Odyssey or would I play Breath of the Wild? And I'm thinking more so like I haven't played these games much. And so, I've played a lot of hours in both. What game would I lean towards? I think I would lean towards Zelda, but I think the franchise as a whole for Mario though is probably the answer to this.
If I'm dipping into a bucket and one bucket has all the Mario games,
and
one bucket has the Zelda games, and I'm pulling one at random, which hand would you want to bet on?
Yeah, like you don't get to pick specific game. You just have to pick. You're getting a random Super Mario Brothers or a random Zelda. I was gonna frame it the exact same way.
Yeah,
and maybe that's an unfair way of framing it because I do think
it's one of the arguments.
I completely agree. I think it comes down to like what's the most important thing. The heights hit, and admittedly the Super Mario ones are still very high, but
the Zelda ones are higher.
I think if you were like ranking all of the games from both franchises, I think Zelda might take the top 2 spots. Like I think there's a lot of
and Mario would take 2 through 6.
Yeah, they would take a lot of the next ones. And I know there's like a cult following for Majora's Mask and Wind Waker and some of the games like that. But
Majora's Mask is one of the more impressive entries to me in either of these because they hit on Ocarina of Time, and like as soon as it came out, changed the game. Still being played today, unbelievable. And then they said, you know what? Not good enough. We're going to try something new, which is a very bold thing to do. And I would say not what most Nintendo lines do. They were immediately like, we have something successful. They can make Ocarina of Time 2, and it would sell, tons of copies. It would be great. But instead they were like, we want to invent new systems. We want to invent probably like the first ever mainstream roguelike game. Like they did a lot of weird things in that game that they didn't have to do. And it's admirable.
It was fast too. That like when they dropped Ocarina, and then I think it was within I can't remember because I was so young when these came out. I think it was within the year though that they released Majora's Mask. I mean, it was quickly, it was like back to back.
Which I think maybe was like unfair on Majora's Mask because it didn't really get its own time to shine, which maybe would, have it sit a little higher in our collective memories.
Ocarina of Time, December 98, Majora's Mask, November 2000. So given almost 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was
that is more than I would have thought. Yeah. Okay. It sounds like we're all in a spot where we can vote. Do we feel well informed enough to place our votes here?
No. I mean, like I'm so unbelievably 50-50 on it because the higher highs of Zelda hit really well.
I'm looking at the bucket that you guys were talking about.
I would feel confident in saying Breath of the Wild is the greatest video game ever made.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm ready to vote. So I will cast my vote. I'm going to say Super Mario Brothers over Zelda for the consistency.
Okay.
Mike.
Okay. I'm going to go with Final Fantasy. No, I'm kidding. I'm going with Mario as well.
I really wanted to come down to
I'm honestly grateful it did not come back to me because I do not think I could have handled it. I'm voting for Zelda then, obviously, because they need to have a vote here. But like, I feel fine about that. So I do not know what I would have done had I had to decide the whole thing. But obviously, I'm voting Zelda.
Yeah. So there you go. I
should have went Zelda just to see.
No.
Just
the podcast would have gone another 35 minutes.
I should have messaged Mike. It's like, Mike, just vote against what I voted against.
Both of you would be logged off, and I'd be like, okay, but A Link Between Worlds was also pretty good and very inventive. I would just still be going in my head.
Go game by game, breaking it down. But we have determined a very slight upset: Super Mario Brothers 2 over Legend of Zelda. I did want to frame this, and Preston framed it pretty similarly. Like, if you take away Breath of the Wild, how far down does Zelda drop in these rankings?
Oh, I don't know, because there was a lot of hits for me on Zelda. I mean, I love
Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, and Ocarina, Majora are all like very good.
Ocarina, definitely. I have very fond memories of the NES titles as well, the Super Nintendo titles. I think once they dropped on the Wii, it got a little weird. But yeah, I think even if you take Breath of the Wild, it's a good argument.
Yeah. I think it would probably drop at least one spot. I don't know how much further.
Yeah, I am curious. I also just think Breath of the Wild kind of is like very fresh in people's memories still, and maybe like, gives you a brighter overall perception of Zelda.
But think about what you just said. That game came out in the summer of 2017.
Right.
I know, but it's still fresh in people's memories. Like, that's kind of nuts.
No, but I mean, like, just in terms of like the Zelda frame of reference, like,
you guys believe
the most recent one.
Can you guys believe the Nintendo Switch launched with Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild?
No, that's
talk about like.
Did it really?
I think so. Yeah. They at least both came out in 2017, and I believe that was the year the Switch launched. So maybe not at launch you could get Odyssey, but they were awfully close. And what more could you want?
That's pretty wild. Yep. Well, we do need to take another quick break, and then we will be back for our final thoughts on our bracket. Talk in just a sec.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite host here to ask you on behalf of the Appin Podcast Network, our parent network, to go check out some of their other shows. I'm partial to the Georgia Politics Podcast. I'm a host there every week. We play games at the end of every episode, trivia, great way to stay in touch with local issues going on here in Georgia, but we also touch on national things too. Would really appreciate if you come give us a listen. Check out everything the Appin Podcast Network has going on at appinmedia.com, APPENMEDIA.com.
Okay, we are back and want to do just a couple questions to debrief this bracket. We said before that we did not pick these 16 video game franchises. We just did based on what was determined to be the 16 best video game franchises by ranker.com. But there were a lot of really good video games that were just below or really anywhere on this list. What were some ones that you guys would have had in your personal top 16s and would have liked to have seen in the bracket?
My top video game of all time wasn't discussed at all in this episode.
What is that?
Ooh, what is that?
Look, JRPG fan here. Okay. Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is by far leaps and bounds above any game that I've ever played ever.
Wow.
And I think it's mostly the nostalgia. I think it's a lot of like remembering how innovative that game was. I mean, it was that you had this Final Fantasy-esque like combat system, but you had team up. You had power moves you can do as duos and triple moves to all your characters that hit at the same time. That was just so crazy. And it was one of the first games I remember that based off of how you played it, you got a different ending. And so you would replay it constantly because you would want to see what the other endings were. The storytelling was amazing. I am hoping that at some point with the success of Final Fantasy VII Remake that they get crazy and remake Chrono Trigger. I would go crazy.
That'd be pretty cool, actually. There were 4 franchises that were outside this top 16 that I would probably put in my personal top 16, I think. Just outside was BioShock, which if you're talking about games that like changed video games, that's up there.
Yep.
The Tomb Raider games. Now I'm more talking about the newer ones because the older ones, I just like, I don't know. I played them at friends' houses and stuff, never really liked them. But I think the newer ones are like going to be looked back on very fondly. I have Dark Souls here. If you include all of From Software as like one franchise, which I know is unfair.
I think it's kind of fair if you just
maybe
the Souls.
So it would be Dark
yeah.
Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring.
Yeah.
As all one franchise. I think it's fair. I mean, I would put that in my top 4 maybe of all-time franchises. I don't know. And I don't even like most of those games. I just think they're incredibly impactful and well done and wonderful. But Elden Ring in particular would just like send that to the top of my board. And then the personal choice here that I know is probably not on a lot of people's boards is the Arkham series, which there are 4 games.
I had that on my list, Preston.
Oh, okay. There are 3 games in the main Arkham line, and then the one spinoff they did is actually pretty good too. But the 3 games in the main Arkham line, I would say, are all like really, really very good.
You felt like Batman playing that game, especially the first couple.
And I get into arguments about this all the time, but the story, the narrative from Arkham Knight, which is the 3rd game, is the best Batman story that I've ever heard. And I have a comic collection that I could pull out that's getting more valuable by the day, I hope. And I've seen all the movies, of course, and all that. I still think it is the best Batman story ever told.
Yeah, Preston is a big Batman guy. We really need to find a way to get him on the show. We've never really done like
get Batman on the show.
Let's get him on the show.
Which one?
Get him to sponsor the show.
Let's just draft Batmans.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, we could absolutely do that.
Yeah. Yep. I'm down, man. This is stuff we do on our show all the time. I'm in.
For me, you can't really count it, I think, because it's only 2 video games, but they're, in my opinion, the 2 best video games I've ever played, and that is The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2.
Yes.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I think, like, Preston talks about Batman being the best. Like, which Arkham was it? It's just the best
Arkham
Batman.
Knight, I think, story-wise.
Batman story. Both the first 2 Last of Us are just 2 of the best, pieces of storytelling, period, across all media, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people would maybe knock like the actual video game mechanics part of it. A lot of people will say it's just playing a movie, but I completely disagree because the fact that you're playing them yourself gives you a connection to them in a way that any movie or TV show never could. And they do that so artfully and well. Really just beautiful, beautiful games.
I was looking at that and I saw that 2 games I think is it probably doesn't count as a franchise because I was
Yeah.
looking at Red Dead for the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially my Chrono Trigger pick. That's one.
Just its own
One
game.
game.
Yeah.
They had
Just
Chrono
on its own.
Cross. They had Chrono Cross, but that wasn't. It's kind of its own thing. But
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably what I think. I think Last of Us came somewhere in like the 30s, like 36 or something around there. And I have to imagine if it were more than 2 games, it would be higher up. So I can't complain about it not being the top 16, but just personal, it for sure would be up there for me. Final question, because I can't really ask like what was the worst pick or anything. But so kind of tangentially video game related, what's the best video game console of all time? Like if you guys can only pick one video game console to play games on for the rest of your life, what are you picking?
It's tough because I think there's like 2 different answers. One is like the most significant, and one is the second thing you said, which is the one you'd want to have for the rest of your life. I think out of the one you'd want to have for the rest of life, it's hard not to pick the Switch. Like the Switch just like works so well, and it kind of feels like magic sometimes. But I think the PlayStation 2 made me fall in love with playing video games. Like fall in love with playing video games like by myself too. Like not because I always played them with friends and stuff. They were always a party thing, but then they turned into like this is like just a better version of a movie thing. And that made me want to play them just forever, which I did.
I like both of your answers. I think the Switch is so like in my moment of life, I can't just sit down in one spot for a long period of time and play a game. Right. And so having that flexibility of popping that Switch off the TV and walking upstairs and playing it, in bed, and there's so much stuff you can do with the Switch. But the N64 was just such a great system. I PlayStation 2 is up there for me as well, but like the N64 was like the system that I remember just being like, these games are amazing. We got Ocarina of Time on there. You've got Super Mario 64. There are so many Star Fox. Man,
the first Smash Brothers.
This first Smash Brothers.
And GoldenEye, just to tie a bow on it.
GoldenEye. Oh my gosh. There's so many of them. I think the 64 would be at the top of my list.
It's iconic to have to blow into a cartridge to get those games.
That's so true.
Right.
Kids have it easy these days. They're just already preloaded on whatever they buy.
Yeah, right.
I definitely think those are the 2 most important consoles, at least in terms of like advancement into like modern video gaming, the N64 and PS2 for sure. I also want to shout out, maybe you should have said this before, shout out to Nintendo mobile gaming systems as well, namely like Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that we didn't mention this in discussing Pokemon at all, but the fact that it is in here as for pretty much the entirety of it, the vast majority of its existence as a mobile console game, I think is pretty remarkable considering the other games it was going up against in this bracket. Very cool. So I mean, honestly, the Game Boy Color would be extremely high for me, or like the Game Boy Advance. It's like I spent so much time playing Game Boy, and like it wasn't until I think like I maybe like became more of a grown up, like in my high school ages, where I really like zeroed in on playing, like PS3, PS4, stuff like that.
Did you guys ever have PSPs?
No, never had.
I did.
I always think about the PSP as something that was like ahead of its time. Like I think if they released a PSP right now, I actually think it would do pretty well. Especially if you had some sort of like docked mode type.
Do you really think it would? I don't think it would.
I really think so. You don't think so?
No. Because people have their phones for one, and then like the Switch is already.
Have you tried going to buy a Steam Deck right now? You cannot do it. It is sold out for eternity.
Yeah, because they make what, 10 of them a month.
I mean, but if you had a Steam Deck version that was like PlayStation IP, I think people would buy it.
I think they've tried it a bunch of times and it's never really caught on.
I loved my PSP.
I loved my PSP as well. I agree with Preston. I think it was ahead of its time. I think it would sell well right now if they dropped a enhanced version that would allow you to dock and be a rival to the Switch. I think it would be.
The Vita didn't do very well, and they were trying to do a version of that.
That's what I'm trying to say. They've had multiple iterations out of.
I kind of forgot about the Vita,
but the Vita was doing too much. The Vita had like the touch screen on the back that was strange. I think the Vita was. I think it was it was ahead of its time, but I think the Vita was a little bit too much.
But I think we should edit here because this is already easily the longest episode we've ever done of the show, and people have probably tuned us out by now. But Mike, thank you so much for coming on, man, to help us determine what the best video game franchise of all time is. Why don't you share the people how they can follow and support you, my friend?
Yes. So I'm from Friggin Nerds Media. We're on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. You can find us Friggin Nerds Media at all those locations. We have every Tuesday night.
Are you saying Freaking Nerds?
Listen, I am the one person that cannot say it properly. Okay. and Britt has given me hell about it from the very beginning. Friggin Nerds.
Friggin Nerds.
There you go.
Friggin Nerds.
There you go.
You can find us anywhere on those platforms. We have a podcast every Tuesday, and we play D&D over on our Twitch channel. So go follow us there. Come hang out and have some fun.
Mike also, because Mario was on not too long ago promoting all the same things, but Mike does have a small business as well that he runs with his son Mike, who he mentioned the show. Would you want to shut that as well, Mike?
Yeah. We do Pokemon cards. We're talking about Pokemon as huge impact in our life, and one of the main things that we collect are Pokemon cards. You can see it here. It's audio, but you and you can see it here in the top corner of my screen here. We collect cards. We sell them. It's called Geek Antique. You can find us on eBay. We're selling cards there, and we got an Instagram. So Geek Antique TCG.
Yeah, Mike super hooked me up. My sister and I, we've gotten to a point where basically we just get each other Pokemon cards every Christmas and birthday at this point. And I reached out to Mike this past Christmas to see if I could get my sister something sweet, and he really went above and beyond. So super appreciative of him for that. So if that's up your alley, which it probably isn't for most people, but if it is, like I know there are some Pokemon card nerds out there. Definitely check out Geek Antique. They do fun stuff, and you're supporting a friend of the show, so we love that. But yeah, Mike, thanks so much for coming on, man. It was great having you, being the first Friggin Nerds member to come on for a bracket.
That's right, baby. The first, Mario. You hear that? The first.
Yeah.
Not the second. The
first. I think that'll do it for us. Be sure to, again, there's not a vote for this episode really, because we didn't draft competing teams, but please do. I hope you have lots of opinions to share on the Discord on that one. This will definitely be a good time to join the Discord if you're not already. And if you wouldn't mind supporting us on Patreon. That's how long we've been going. I can't talk anymore. We need to get the fuck out of here. But if you'd support us on Patreon, that really means a lot. It really goes a long way in helping us. And we super do appreciate that. But Preston, unless you have any final thoughts, I think we're going to head on out of here.
I'm so sorry for this episode being so long. I think it was mostly my fault because Daniel does a good job keeping me on track, and I just choose not to listen to him.
I am part of a podcast that goes 2 hours each week, so it's probably my fault as well. So apologies.
Just come join yours. Yeah.
No one can complain about bonus content, right? That's what we're going to go with. All right, guys. Right. We will be back with a normal draft next week. Talk to you then.
Oofa doofa, gentlemen.
Boom. All right.
Do you guys remember when Preston was like, shouldn't we do 32?
Shouldn't we do 32
instead of 16? Shouldn't we do literally twice as many as we're actually doing?